As we honour the fallen, we must too remember the brave who've slipped through the cracks. Too many of our soldiers return from war only to be abandoned when they most need help. One man is determined to be their voice.
You would have to be inhuman not to feel, some trauma from hearing the stories that we've heard over the last 3 years.
It's been a military mission like no other.
Do you think we've let our Defence Forces, our military, down in some respects?
I think as a society we have. I think nowhere near enough has been done in the last probably 2 or 3 decades to look after them.
On Anzac Day, as we remember those who sacrificed so much in war, Royal Commissioner Nick Candid is also remembering those the military has deserted.
I've not been able to tell my story. I've been ordered to not speak about my situation.
It was evidence that shocked: bullying, sexual harassment, abuse.
Everybody has their breaking point, and unfortunately I found mine.
You would have heard, and I'm sure it's going to impact you, some shocking stories in the last 3 years. Has there been one that's kept you awake at night?
I think there's simply too many. I don't think I'd like to single one out. Admitted into evidence.
One of the most harrowing, Reverend Dr. Nikki Coleman, who was a chaplain in the Royal Australian Air Force. She claimed she was indecently assaulted by a colleague, her abuser protected by military leadership.
It is a perfect storm of factors to enable covering up of abuse.
The blatant disregard for fairness and what happened to her when she raised the complaint of sex abuse and then was essentially forced out of the organisation, and quite dreadful things happened to her and anyone who supported her.
For Candid, it was one horror story among so many.
I think one of the lessons that has come out of the Royal Commission is that perhaps there's been not a whole lot of curiosity on the part of the public and the media about what's happening with our servicemen and women and our veterans on a regular basis.
The former cop and United Nations investigator has vowed the Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide will force change.
The Royal Commission hopefully has achieved one thing, which is to bring these problems out in public to a point where they are now undeniable. It certainly did surprise us about the sheer number of people who had been traumatised, who thankfully found the courage to speak up, to put their hand up and to come forward and talk to us.
The inquiry received a staggering 6,000 submissions, Candid paying tribute to those who shared their so-called lived experience.
Very hard to go back and revisit terrible things that may have happened to you and tell your story yet again. There is a distinct, definite connection between that trauma that people feel and their service. It is connected to their service. There is no doubt about that now.
Why hasn't that connection been drawn before the Royal Commission began?
I think it's been pointed at many times, but it's been denied. It is now undeniable.
The veteran investigator admits there has been pushback.
Not directly, but there is a culture within the ADF. You can't blame individuals. It's been there for decades, if not longer.
One glaring issue, the lack of accountability.
That's a recipe for nothing changing.
What do you hope the legacy of the Royal Commission will be?
The bottom line is we want to have a very real and significant impact on the rate of suicide and suicidality, both in the serving community, the men and women who are in the organisation, as well as the veteran community who are out of it.
The commissioners want a watchdog, independent of the government, set up to enforce their recommendations.
We think that's essential. It is the main recommendation this Royal Commission will make. We can't see any other way of dealing with the problems. We could keep doing what we're doing now, the result will be the same. We must have a way to break that cycle.
After the courage of those who gave evidence, change has to happen.
That shouldn't be for nothing, should it?
I know there are cynics who said, well, you're just the 58th inquiry and nothing will come out of this. I don't think that's the case. I think we've turned the corner. There are some who have had really significant problems and the system has let them down quite badly.
They've slipped through the cracks, haven't they?
They have, yeah.
And that's got to stop.
Absolutely, yeah. We have to do better.
And hopefully we do. The Royal Commission will hand down its final report in September.